welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel, whichever it may be. And if you are new here, please feel free to do all the things like comment, subscribe, do all those wonderful things, and join me. I'm trying to get to 500 before the end of the year. I don't know if it's possible, but I would really like it. So yeah, if you like any of this at all, please feel free to subscribe and help me out. Anyway, I actually did my nails because I'm on vacation. So I took a moment and I did my nails, and my cat just knocked something over. Not on purpose, actually on accident. She literally just rolled into it. It's fun. All right, so we are back working on Aurora the unicorn. Isn't she looking beautiful? There's only 2 sections left, and then she will be done. And I know she's not a Halloween picture, and it's Halloween, but I kind of finished my Halloween picture. And while I did order a fall picture, it hasn't come in the mail yet. I'm also going to finish my Sam and Dean Winchester. I'm hoping before the end of October, and I will have a finishes for the end of October, which would be kind of cool. Right now I finished 2, so I have something, and probably will finish her this weekend. I'll go ahead and do my other video ahead of time and be done with it. But yes, so today we're going to talk about Halloween. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this back. I don't know where my magnet went. And then we will move her and zoom on in on that section. I think that is, zoom in a little bit more and pull her this way just a little bit more. There we go. All right, so I am still doing it with everything that has been in the kit. It's still in that bag that the drills originally came in. Every one of them is now in one of these little plastic bags. So yes, and if you were watching the end of the last video, you'll have seen my cat actually stole my pen. He stole it and made a mess of everything when he did. So yes, let's start with this color, and we will start talking about Halloween. So Halloween is one of my favorite times of year. I love spooky season, the spook. A lot of people do, and I kind of understand why. As I was learning about Halloween, it kind of fits why we are so drawn to this time of year. So anyway, Halloween, which is also known as All Hallows Eve or All Saints Eve, begins the observance of All Hallow Tide, which would be the time of year when the days are changing. Your days are changing from long to short. And it's also the time of year to remember the dead. So your days are changing. It's the time of year to remember the dead. I think they said this was a Christian belief. Anyway, it's more in here. Don't worry. So yes, All Hallowtide is the time of the year dedicated to remembering the dead. Particularly saints and martyrs. So I thought that was interesting. Mostly this has a very religious background, as you'll see as we go through Halloween, and I do find it interesting just based upon my own past experience. I also realize I don't have a light on. And that's just me not being prepared. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's just the right amount of light. So, the theory holds that many Halloween traditions were influenced by the Celtic harvest festivals, particularly the Gaelic festival Samhain. I should have looked into Samhain. I didn't. Maybe it's further in. I'm not sure. I'm gonna move that out of the way so I can read my notes a little better. And another theory is that light did not help Like, it helped, but it didn't help. It's just giving me shadow on my drills here, and I can't see them. So is that helping? Like, it helps here, I think, on the camera, but it's not helping me because it's just putting my drills in shadow. Maybe I should put a light on, like an actual room light. How far over do I want to go with this one? Decide on that. I think that will be good right there. And then the rest will be another time. Let me see if I can do this without causing too much of an issue. I need something to reach over there. Hi, Rebel. I'm just gonna lay on you for a second. Is that okay? There we go. Let's see if that helps. Now to get this back into... Yeah, we're good. Okay. So, where did that drill bag go? There it is. All right, so another theory is that the Halloween began solely as a Christian holiday, being the vigil of All Hallows Day. So a vigil would mean when you stand vigil with the candle at somebody has passed away, and you stand vigil with the candles, and yeah. So, and that All Hallows Day, is this in here? Yes. So it was celebrated in Ireland and Scotland. So basically it's coming from Ireland and Scotland, from that area. So the Celtic kind of makes sense in that regard. I should have looked into Samhain, gotten more information on that, but I didn't. So I do think it is in here a little bit, though not fully in explanation of itself. But anyway. So, because it came from Ireland and Scotland, it was brought over to the U.S. by immigrants, Irish and Scottish immigrants who moved over here, and they brought their beliefs with them when they came over. And then we changed it the way we always do to fit with our lifestyle over here. And thus, actually, we spread it more throughout the world itself. So we spread our beliefs of Halloween to other countries. Because, you know, we've been around. Us Americans, man. We have been around and we've seen something. So that happened mostly in the 20th and 21st century. So, Halloween itself. I mean, there are some fun things that we like to do during Halloween. So let's just talk about Halloween itself now that we have a little background on Halloween. The theory of where it came from and that sort of thing. So Halloween, we like to do things. We like to go trick-or-treating, going from house to house and getting candy. We may have parties. We dress up in costumes and we go hang out with our friends and just have a grand old time. There may be pumpkin carving. Love to do the pumpkin carving, or turnips, depending upon where you are. I don't know if anybody even does turnips anymore. I feel like pumpkins have pretty much spread. I don't know. Do tell me, if you're not from the US, do tell me if you carve pumpkins. If that is a thing, or if that is solely just a US thing, pumpkins themselves, because turnips were not US. They were from Ireland and Scotland. Apple bobbing. Although I feel like that was done at other parties too, like not just specifically Halloween parties, because I feel like I played apple bobbing games at other things too, like apple festivals and stuff, harvest festivals, not just Halloween parties. But there was definitely apple bombing at Halloween parties. Oh, somebody came in the house. Cats are going crazy. All right. Rinsing out a bowl. Oh, now they're both coming in the house. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I think they're both back outside. They're going out to read books because it's nice outside. All right, so I was talking about apple bobbing. Haunted houses. Going to see some haunted houses. Bonfires. I've never done a bonfire for Halloween. Not ever. Let me know if you have. I have never. I've been to bonfires, don't get me wrong, but it was never for Halloween. It was always for, we need to burn this, so we're gonna have a bonfire kind of thing. And it was fun. Watching horror movies and telling scary stories. That is definitely a big part of Halloween. I don't know about the telling scary stories. That was always gonna stay over at a sleepover or something, and then you would tell scary stories, or staying at camp in the summer. Like, I more associate that with being at camp than I do with Halloween, but I can't really say my Halloween experience has been that great. Did later on, but not grown up. And then, yeah, watching the horror movies. I love a good horror movie. Every once in a while, depending upon the type of horror movie. I am not a Saw type horror movie girl. I don't like those. But Paranormal Activity, I'll watch that. So, yeah, it depends on the horror movie. Let's see. That color. So, we will go back to the history of Halloween a little bit here, which would say, okay, this isn't really the history. This is actually things that are done today, currently, or maybe done, that Christianity, they observe the holiday as All Hallows Day by attending church. They'll do All Hallows Eve, they'll put candles at graves, and they will abstain from eating meat, and will choose vegetarian options, particularly apples, potato pancakes, and soul cakes. Now, I didn't look up the recipe for soul cakes, so I don't know what a soul cake is, but that's pretty interesting. Soul cakes. I'm not doing much here as far as what I should be doing, which is diamond painting. Focus on diamond painting. Here, I gotta get this section done before my phone dies. Particularly before my phone dies. I have a couple of escapees over here. There it is. Okay. Escapees. That looks like this color. You're an escapee from this bag. All right. See, yes. So now we'll go into the history of Halloween itself, some of the beliefs, some of the ideas behind where it came from, how it came into existence, that sort of thing. So Halloween, the word itself is the word hallow, which is the term for saints, and the ending "een," meaning eve or evening. So that's Halloween means Saints' Eve. So very interesting. Saints' Eve. The word itself means Saints' Eve. All right. So the Christian holiday of Halloween, or All Hallows, Hallowtide, sorry. The Christian holiday Hallowtide, it was a 3-day event that consisted of feasts, the vigil for All Hallows Eve, and it was holy days, not holidays, holy days for the All Hallows Tide, which is the beginning of winter, I guess, basically. When the times change, when things the seasons are changing, things are changing. It's moving into different times. So they have an All Hallow Tide, and they would hold a feast, and then the vigil for All Hallows Eve, or Halloween night. And the vigil would consist of them putting out food and other things. This is a little later in the history of it, but it is in there for the saints. And they would pray, they would honor the saints, and they would pray for the recently departed while holding their vigil on All Hallows Eve. Kind of like a start to, I missed that for C. I'll have to go back and get that at some point. A start for moving on to winter. And winter was a tough time for them. Like, you have to think of what winter is like for us now and what winter was like for them. It was particularly a tough time. So, yes. All right. In the 4th century Rome, they celebrated a festival of the dead in May. So this wasn't the original festival, or this wasn't the festival that we know today, but I think it's probably the first notation of celebrating or having a festival to celebrate the dead. It was in the 8th century Rome, or 4th century Rome, sorry. In 8th century, Pope Gregory III had a oratory created in St. Peter's for the relics of the holy. And it's believed that was done on November 1st, and that's where the time frame for the holiday came about, why it came to this point, because that oratory was for the relics of the holy, so it would be to honor the dead, to honor the saints, the martyrs, stuff like that in that oratory. I have to change my page now. Jeez, I do have a lot of notes, so there's a lot to go through. And then there's evidence by 1800 that churches in Ireland were holding feasts on November 1st. So that's actual historical evidence that they were having feasts on November 1st. And they're saying that Charlemagne may have brought the date to the Frankish Empire, and the Frankish Empire turned it into the official date from what Charlemagne brought to them. And that was in 835. So in that 800 time period, They were doing a lot. Now that is just one thought behind why the date was chosen for November 1st. Actually, October 31st would be All Hallows Eve. November 1st would be the Holy Day. So there's, you know, there is definitely, that is just, you know, one of the beliefs where the date came from. And like I said, they have found proof that people were having feasts on November 1st in that time period. I didn't do that color yet. Gotta make sure I'm paying attention here a little bit too. So there's also other suggestions, or another suggestion of why the date, and that was that it was influenced by the Celtic or Germanic idea by the Celtic or Germanic idea, or by their belief system. So the Germanic and Celtic speaking people commemorated the dead at the beginning of winter. And, oops, let me just drop my pen. It's fine. Maybe Peanut will come steal it from me again. That would be great. And I don't have my other pen just hanging around over here to just grab right now, because I've been finishing diamond paintings left and right. Bad me made an order today. So I'm expecting diamond paintings again. I haven't done it in a while, but I did it today. Something caught my eye. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. I've thought about returning it because I'm like, I don't know on this one. What am I getting myself into? But anyway, so we'll go back to this. So this is the Celtic and Germanic beliefs, and that they were commemorating the dead at the beginning of winter. And this is where they're saying that they probably saw this as the most fitting time of year, since this is the time of year when nature is unaliving. So nature itself is going through a change, going into a dormant period. And they think that's why they chose this time of year. If you think about it, up north right now, you have fall foliage. The leaves are starting to fall off the trees. It's moving into winter. Up in New England, it was possibly even snowing at this time of year when I was living up there. Like, you had the possible chance of snow already. So it does kind of fit that it would be the same over in Scotland and Ireland, because it's relatively cold over there. How's my phone holding up? I don't even know. It's not at 10% yet. I know that. So, yeah, I'm sorry for getting sidetracked ever so easily today. I didn't sleep the best last night, and I think it's not helping. So it fits. It really fits with their belief system, the Celtic beliefs in choosing the time of year to celebrate the dead, because it also, for them, it would be a time of year when there would be a lot of people not making it through the winter. It would be that time of year they would struggle either with, in the summer, you struggle with the heat, in the winter, you struggle with the cold. I don't know that they would really struggle with the heat, but you definitely have more disease and stuff like that over summer than you do over winter, because things do tend to not survive in colder climates as well as they do when it is a bit warmer. So it does kind of make sense. It does kind of fit. Like, it's of why they would celebrate it at this time of year. So by the 12th century, the celebration involved traditions of ringing church bells So they would ring the bells to oh, okay. And okay, so ringing church bells and having town criers dressed all in black calling to remember the souls. So they're ringing the bells to remember the souls, and they'd have town criers going up and down the streets crying to remember the souls, crying, yelling. When you think of old newsboys and stuff like that, I need more wax. When they would shout out, extra, extra, you know, the town crier would probably ring a bell or something as they were walking up and down the street. And that's not gonna work. Do I have anything here to help me out? Pen over here. This might work. Town crier would walk up and down the street banging a little bell or something saying, remember the souls, remember the souls, and that sort of thing, as they did. I wonder how they got paid, if they got paid. Like how they got paid. It's very interesting to think about how it worked back in those period, or in that time. So they also had a custom for baking soul cakes, and these were often marked with a cross, very similar to a hot cross bun. And they would bake the soul cakes and then exchange them with neighbors, or even hand them out in exchange for prayers to poor children, particularly children. And that is where the belief of trick-or-treating comes from, is that the poor people would send their children door to door collecting these soul cakes in exchange for prayers. And I know when I was growing up and we were in a supposedly Christian church, I'm guessing it was more Protestant than Christian, and you believe that the day is evil or bad, so we weren't allowed to trick or treat. Somebody out there, not really, like we went, but we more had the UNICEF boxes, and we would collect money for the church. So I imagine this is probably pretty similar to that experience that I had of collecting for the church, but in this case they were collecting for the poor, so that the poor would have something to eat, I imagine, in these soul cakes. Hello? What you doing? Yeah, he's looking for his book. Yeah, so like I said, that was where they believe trick-or-treating came from. And I think that makes a lot of sense if they were actually doing that, collecting the soul cakes for the poor children were collecting these soul cakes. And it does kind of make sense. Like, you're getting a treat in a way. I don't know what soul cakes are like. Like I said, I should have looked up the recipe. Maybe I should try making them. I don't know. But it's interesting. So also another thing that they would do in their homes is to light candles. So they would either light these candles in the home and put it in a window, or they would light the candles and... What are you doing? You're walking on my controller. Well, at least you didn't start something. She's been all over the place today. It's Winnie. Winnie, the extra. Call her the extra. Yeah, so they would light the candles and they would put them in their windows, or they would put them at graves of their deceased family members. And they would do this so that the souls could find their way back to the home where they lived. And they would, so the souls would be able to go back home and spend time with their family. Or, you know, the family would be having a vigil at the gravesite, and then the souls could find them at the gravesite and spend time with them there as well, I suppose. And you have to remember, this is Christians. This is Christianity. This isn't the pagan beliefs. This is actually Christianity that this is from. So it was very interesting to me, who grew up I'm going to say probably a Protestant, and to read this and see, you know, like how different it was, a belief in the religion that I supposedly grew up in, Christianity. But anyway, yeah, so they would leave the candles out to guide the souls back to their earthly homes. And they would also leave food out for the souls. So they would leave a feast on the table for the souls to eat when they got to the house. Or they would leave food out on the doorstep or out at the gravesite as well. So this way the souls would have food, which, if you're thinking, it sounds very similar to another celebration, Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, then it does sound very similar to that. And this was in Scotland and Ireland. This is the Christians, and this is what they were doing at this 800 time period, in the 800s and 900s. Yeah, so this is what they were doing. So the history behind costumes, because now we've done trick or treats, we'll do the history behind costumes, is that not all of the souls were there with good intentions. Some of the souls may be seeking vengeance on you. And up until the 31st of October, before the 1st of November, these souls have the ability to roam the earth and look for people to enact their vengeance on, or the ones who they have vengeance for. So people would wear masks and costumes to make themselves unrecognizable to the souls, particularly on All Hallows Eve, because that is when the souls were most likely to be out and about. It's when it was the last night for them to enact their revenge before the holy days, starting on November 1st. So they had to disguise themselves to hide from these souls who could be enacting its vengeance on them. And I just thought that was pretty interesting. That's, you know, the belief behind where costumes came from. So another belief behind it, or possibly even just part of it, is that souls would have the opportunity to come up out of the ground and have a final party before the holy days again, like before All Hallows Tide, before that started on November 1st. October 31st, they had this opportunity to come up out of their graves and have a party. And that's probably why the candles and the gravestones and the food at the gravestones and stuff. So they'd have this stuff there for them to have a feast, have a party. And so people would dress like a corpse so they could attend the party as well and enjoy this time with either family members or just to have a feast, to have a party. You know, like, you don't always need an excuse to have a party, I suppose. So they would dress up like a corpse or like a ghost or something to fit in with the souls who were coming to have a party because they're rising up out of their graves. And that's pretty cool. This is Christians, mind you. This isn't, we're not going into the Gaelic or the Samhain or the witchcraft belief side of the holiday. Like, this is all Christians. So this is just Christianity itself. They were doing this as a religious belief. They were attending church. They were having feasts in honor of their dead relatives or in honor of the saints and the martyrs, and that's what they were doing. It was a celebration of their family members, of the souls who have moved on, of the saints. So it was a celebration to them. But this all changed, and this was changed by the Protestants. I didn't write it down for when they did this, but when the Protestant when the Protestants started coming about, they really kind of took over and just changed a lot of this stuff. And so in their belief, any soul that remained here on earth was in purgatory and thus was evil, because it had not ascended to heaven. It was still here on earth, hadn't ascended to heaven, and thus it was evil. And so they changed a lot of the traditions that the people had. So the town crier telling them to remember the souls was no longer allowed. The bells could not be rung at the churches. They couldn't hold the feasts and festivities that they used to hold. The Protestants changed that by saying that this is evil, and thus you shouldn't celebrate it in this way. You shouldn't celebrate these fallen souls because they are evil. They did allow for the most of the traditions to stay. So if you baked the soul cakes and handed them out at the doors, that stayed. Dressing up in Halloween costumes to hide from the souls, that stayed. So they did allow the people to keep their traditions because they didn't want to revolt, basically. They didn't want people to not like them because they were changing everything on them. So they allowed them to keep some of their traditions. And a lot of it was overshadowed by Guy Fawkes Day, like the bonfires and stuff. Guy Fawkes Day kind of overshadowed that. And it was probably put that way on purpose by the Protestants to get them to celebrate differently rather than how they were celebrating. I missed a couple of these. Shoot. But I did write Samhain because that's my next section, is to talk about Samhain and the Celtic side of things, or where we get our pagan beliefs, the witchcraft beliefs, pagans. So Samhain is actually just for the end of longer days and the beginning of shorter ones. So it's the change of the year. You're going from summer with your nice long days to winter with shorter days. And in the dark half of the year, when the veil between our world and the other world is at its thinnest. So that is where that belief stems from. I know we've all heard about that, the veil of our world and the other world, the world of the souls, would be at its thinnest at this time of year, particularly on All Hallows Eve, or this particular night, Halloween itself. I had to change my page. I'm almost to the end of it, and I still have so much to do. That's okay. I'm sure we can still talk about a lot of stuff. And yeah, so the veil is at its thinnest, and it allows the souls to cross over and visit the earthly realm, or us, to visit us. And yes, so to visit us, or to enact revenge. As that is probably still in there, enacting revenge, wreaking havoc, doing things like that. And so they would leave out food and drink for these souls to convince them to move on, or to appease them and leave them alone, so that they could survive another year. They would leave it out to protect them and their livestock. So that's why they left out the food and drink. They also, of course, had parties and feasts and other things as well. But yeah, they would leave out the food on their doorstep, food and drink for the souls, to just kind of say, hey, look, we're feeding you, we're giving you drink, just leave us in peace. Let us survive another year healthy and happy, and leave us and our cows and our sheep and our pigs alone, so that we can live another year. And that's really all I wrote for Samhain. I didn't really write much else. Oh, okay. I did write that, this does make sense. So, the belief that the souls of the dead return home for one night out of the year is found in many cultures, as well as leaving out food and drink. So it's interesting that this is something that a lot of cultures do. We as people honor our dead. We honor the past souls and spirits, and we leave them food and drink to appease them, to tell them, our house is, like, here, we're leaving you food and drink, leave us be. Or, like, here is some food and drink for you. I hope you enjoy it. Or, welcome back home. Here is some food and drink. So it's very much a widespread belief, and it is in many cultures. And it's a pretty awesome thing that the belief system itself can be so varied and so similar at the same time. All right, so the last thing I have is the jack-o'-lantern itself, where the jack-o'-lantern came from and why the jack-o'-lantern. They called it Jack. I guess he was a spirit with no head or something like that, and they gave him a candle, and he put the candle in the turnip and then put the turnip on as a head so he could see, or something like that. I didn't fully read the story about Jack, but yeah, so the jack-o'-lantern originally started as a turnip, and it was carved, and a candle was put inside to ward spirits from stopping at the home, or to ward spirits from them. They would carry the jack-o'-lantern with them And yeah, they would carry it with them to ward off the evil spirits. So they were putting a lantern in it, or putting a candle in it, and warding off evil spirits as they carried this turnip around. So it had to be carved to allow for the light to shine through. When the Scottish and the Irish came over to America, they found that we had something called pumpkins. And pumpkins are much softer. They grow bigger and they're easier to carve. And so they started using pumpkins to create the jack-o'-lanterns. And that is why pumpkins are used. So they were just generally just easier to carve than a turnip, which if you have ever cut up a turnip, then yes, a pumpkin is much easier to carve than a turnip. So it's, yeah, I really enjoyed learning about the past history of Halloween and why we have some of the things we have today, or why we do some of the things we do, like trick-or-treating, wearing costumes, carving pumpkins. I really should have gone more into the pumpkin carving, but I didn't. As to why behind it, I know it was to ward off evil spirits, but I should have gone more into the history of the jack-o'-lantern. But I didn't. So that is all that I have for the history of Halloween in and of itself. So I also wrote down some challenge questions they're icebreaker questions for Halloween parties. So, and I wrote down only 10. It said there was 40, but the other ones were more of a, which would you do? Would you rather this or that kind of thing in it that I saw. So I just wrote down the 10 that were in the beginning. So we can go into that, and I can probably do more. I don't know if my phone has hit 10%, so I've got to really keep an eye on it. It may die. I hope not. But we can go into these challenge questions. So, what's your favorite Halloween tradition? And feel free to leave a comment with any of these challenge questions if you want to. I have heard other YouTubers doing these challenge questions. They're pretty basic. Like, you look up Halloween challenge questions and these are what come up. So, like, you can definitely leave a comment of your answers if you want to, or do them on your own videos if you're also a YouTuber and haven't already done them. So, what is your favorite Halloween tradition? For me, I love carving pumpkins. I love decorating. I love carving pumpkins. I love handing out candy, although sadly I don't get to do that. But I just love the aspect of it all. the just doing the things. Just, yeah, I love to decorate. I love to carve pumpkins. I like to do traditional, fun Halloween things. So that I think that just does stem back from not celebrating it as much growing up. We didn't celebrate Halloween. It wasn't in our belief system. We didn't celebrate it. We didn't decorate. We didn't go trick-or-treating. We didn't celebrate it. So I think a lot of my absolute love for all things Halloween really does kind of stem from not being allowed to do it as a child. And I also just love decorating. I just love doing it. I decorate for Christmas. I decorate for Easter. I decorate for everything. I have fun decorating. And yeah. So that is definitely carving pumpkins I'm all in. You want to carve pumpkins with me? We can carve pumpkins. I'm not doing it this year. I could go to the store and buy a pumpkin and do a YouTube video of me carving a pumpkin. But we aren't, like, it's kind of sad, and I'm really disappointed that things haven't worked out as far as they have with getting the new house and moving, because I would have really loved to have been up there before the Halloween season so that I could decorate and I could enjoy my new house already. And I could maybe have some trick-or-treaters. It's one of the things of living where we live now. The trick-or-treaters go to other neighborhoods. And yeah, I really should pause and go try to find a power cord so I can just finish this up. So I will be right back. All right, I found a power cord, so I hope this holds. It's hard to charge your phone when you're always on it. Yeah, I should get more into a habit of just letting it sit and charge for a while. I will do that after this video before I upload it. So let's get back to these challenge questions. So we did the tradition. Do you have any fond Halloween memories? I actually have quite a few, because once I was able to start celebrating it, I really got into it. So once I started riding horses and showing horses and competing on Sundays, we kind of stepped away from church a little bit. And because I was at shows a lot, we kind of just stopped going, or maybe they just stopped making me go and they still went and I just didn't notice. It wasn't anything I wanted to do. Church is a social aspect, and I have social anxiety disorder. So I can't say I really ever enjoyed church. Not for the aspect of being religious, just the social aspect of it and the fact that it was a social setting. There were moments where I really enjoyed it, but yeah. So once we stepped away from it, we actually started doing more Halloween stuff. And a lot of it comes from me getting my driver's license and being able to actually do things on my own, because now I had my driver's license. I could go places on my own. I could do things on my own. And so I would say some of my fondest memories are actually going out with my friends trick-or-treating. At the age of 16, when I still looked 12, we would go trick-or-treating in my friend's neighborhood and get so much candy, and it was just so much fun, and I just really enjoyed it. And then I started getting more used to social settings, going to parties and stuff like that, and I think I just had a lot of friends at the barn. So barn parties to me just never felt anywhere near the same as other parties felt. Like, even to this day, I struggle with parties. But I will go to a party, and I will be a social butterfly at a party if I have to be. I just don't particularly enjoy it. I do hope this holds. Oh, by the way, I did find my cover minder. It was in the bag with all the other stuff. So I did keep it all together. But anyway, and that was some of my fondest memories, were finally getting to go out trick-or-treating with my friends and having just a really good time doing that. Yes. So what is your go-to Halloween candy? For me, it's weird. I'm not a big sweet tooth person, so I don't particularly care as much for candy. Not saying I don't enjoy candy, like I do enjoy candy, So my go-to candy, if it was gettable, and it does seem to be something that I do think about more around Halloween time, and I don't know why, because it was more of a penny candy thing rather than a Halloween candy, but candy cigarettes. Those candy cigarettes, there is just something about the way those taste that I just absolutely love. And I do tend to think about them this time of year, and I think it's because when I was in Dollar General, they had these superhero candy sticks. And I think maybe that's why I think about it around Halloween time, because these candy sticks show up. And it makes me think of the candy cigarettes. And so I looked on Amazon, and I could actually get them as a subscribe and save thing on Amazon. I was like, really? And they weren't that expensive, so I might actually get myself a box of candy cigarettes to have this Halloween season, since I won't be doing much else. But I'm gonna wait till payday on Friday before I do that. The thing that sucks is I just started my vacation, and it's a pay week this week, not last week, because I get paid every other. So that definitely makes it more interesting. What did I do with, there it is, my bag. So yeah, candy cigarettes. I love them. Oh, and I actually eat candy corn. I'm one of those weird people who actually enjoys candy corn, not in like massive amounts. I usually will get a bag of candy corn and share it with my horse, because she really likes candy corn too. So I will share it with her. That's what we do. That is what is going on here. I moved everything around because Rebel decided to join me on the couch. And so I moved everything around. And now I cannot find what I'm looking for. Alright, hopefully this does keep going. I really hope this just keeps charging. My husband's been apparently text messaging me. I haven't been getting it because I'm doing a video. And it overrides getting a text message. Poor guy. I hope he watches this video. I do. just to help us be a little closer together and give him something to listen to. You know, when he's thinking about me and I'm doing something else and can't talk on the phone with him. So, yeah. All right. Next up on the questions. Have you ever DIY'd a Halloween costume? Yes, actually. Quite a few. I got into making my own costume. So I made myself a vampire costume one year. I made a costume, my friend and I actually, we both did it, and Moulin Rouge had just come out, and it was a really big thing at that point. And so she and I, we made ourselves costumes to be like Moulin Rouge. And the heck is going on? My cat's under the couch making all kinds of noise. Silly cat. Yeah, so we did that, and we made our horses look like characters from Moulin Rouge as well. And we rode in a costume class at a horse show together. So we DIY'd those costumes. I DIY'd many, many costumes. It was, rather than, because buying a costume was so expensive and I just didn't have that kind of money, I would most of the time DIY it. And just find a way to make myself be what I wanted to be. 90% of the time it was a vampire, because, you know, what's my channel name? True Vampire. I did vampires a lot. And I even got myself those really nice fangs that you can get that you mold onto your teeth. Yeah, I got those. I loved those too. They were so great. I learned how to talk with them and everything. It was great. I had to, because I was a vampire, so. Yep. So yeah, a lot of times I DIY'd my own costumes. I was either a witch or a vampire. It really didn't matter. It was kind of interchangeable. And I always wanted to be, you know how you can be the... all right, you know what? I will get that hair later. The sluttier, I guess, version. But I couldn't, because I was, in my opinion, not all that pretty. Not all that... I felt like I was too fat, too pretty, and couldn't do these things because my mother would tell me I couldn't. And maybe she was right, and they didn't particularly look good on me. But the way she went about it kind of gave me a complex in a way. And I was always thinking about how I looked in everything. And, you know, come to find out years later, yeah, I was actually very pretty. I probably wouldn't have had any trouble getting boys. Like, none whatsoever. And even to this day, I'm still told I'm on the prettier side. And you know, you don't see it in yourself. You don't see it in yourself. You see it in others, but you don't always see it in yourself. So, you know, my husband tells me all the time, and honestly, he has been a great help in my self-esteem, and I love him for that. Because he has definitely helped me to get over some of those chubbier girl issues that we have. And I wasn't chubby. In high school, I was not chubby. I was skinny. And, you know, I was eating a lot. Like, I was eating normal amounts of food. I just wasn't, I was riding horses pretty much 7 days a week. And I was going to school, and all of my classes were on the 3rd floor of the school, so I was going up and down stairs on a regular basis. So I was exercising. And in my life, as long as I have been exercising to some degree, I don't think I'm that bad. It's when I'm not exercising, that I'm living a more sedentary life, that I tend to start putting the weight on. But as long as I get up and move and exercise and do something, I've been fine. And in high school, I only weighed about 120 to 130 pounds. Like, yes, that's probably still technically overweight for my height, but I wasn't overweight by that much to say that I was fat. And so, like, I didn't know it. To me, I was overweight. I was fat. I was ugly. I was not, yeah. But anyway, that is a rant, and I am so sorry for that. Like I said, as long as I have been exercising, as long as I have been moving and doing something that requires movement of my body, I have been fine. Now I just need to do a little bit more movement of my body and maybe eat just a little bit better. But that's it. If I just started walking, I'd probably be fine. That's all I have to do is just start walking. And you think, oh, that's so easy. Just start walking. But it's the actual doing that's the problem. Like, it's so much easier to sit here and diamond paint than it is to get up and go for a 15, 20-minute walk. And once you do it, you feel really good about yourself when you do it. It's just easier to sit here and diamond paint. But anyway, so yes, I have DIY'd my own costume numerous times. and have loved every minute of it. All right. This color's not in there. Nope. Hey, Rebel, you joined us. Rebel's hanging out behind me now. All right. Have you ever been to a haunted house? And if so, what was it like? I love haunted houses. I do. I absolutely love haunted houses. So again, this probably stems back to getting my driver's license, being able to drive and go places on my own. I had my own car pretty much from the moment I got my driver's license. I was really lucky. I was really spoiled. And I was given a car. My mom got a new car and I got her old car. And I loved that car. That was the best car. I had an Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra with a V8 engine, and that car was fantastic. Like, absolutely fantastic. Loved it. And I would drive that thing everywhere. My friends and I called it the old maid. Like, that car is just the best. I just flicked a drill into my hair. I have no idea where it went. It just flicked, because these all just went scattering everywhere. And I just flicked it into my hair. But yes, so I started going to haunted houses, I would say, in my early 20s with my friend who I went trick-or-treating with. She was the one I went trick-or-treating with. And I was trick-or-treating all the way up until I was about 25 years old. Yeah, I was making up for lost time on that one for sure. And I was looking young enough to be able to do it. The true vampire thing, like, it has always pretty much fit me. I'm not a vampire, but if I was, it would pretty much fit. I have never looked my age. Even now, and when I tell someone how old I am, they're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. It's like, yes, I'm actually that old, but yeah. No, you're not. All right, well, you want to see my driver's license? I can show you. Not you guys, so sorry. Anybody I meet in public. So I got away with it. And, you know, I definitely enjoyed it. But we went to Six Flags New England during Halloween season. And oh my gosh, it was the best. And we would go through the haunted houses. They turned the lazy river into a haunted house. They would turn rides into a haunted house too, but the lazy river was just the absolute best, because they would cover it over, and it was so long that it just, you had so much you could do in that lazy river, because they had to obviously drain it for winter. They couldn't have it up for winter, because it would just freeze and not be any good. And so, yeah, the lazy river would be used as a haunted house. And I think they even used it for the Christmas event too. I don't know if they were still open at that point. They did close for the winter. But I think they might have held a Christmas event at one point. But they definitely would be open still for Halloween, because it would just be on that brink of being almost too cold to, yeah. Like, we wouldn't go do the water park, but you could definitely ride rides, and it would be a little chilly. And so we would go for the Halloween festivities at Six Flags New England, and it was so much fun. They had this stage show, I think 3 years in a row that we went, and we would just go every time this stage show would come on. We would be there just singing and dancing to the stage show, just having a blast, and then we'd go find another haunted house to go walk through. And yeah, so that's where my love of haunted houses really kind of started. And then when I moved to Florida, we have Halloween Horror Nights. And so, yeah, I go to Halloween Horror Nights And I don't think this color is in here, actually. All right, never mind on that color. So there's a lot of haunted houses at Halloween Horror Nights. If you've ever been to Halloween Horror Nights, oh, it's a blast. It's an absolute blast. My husband and I went 3 years in a row together, and it's one of the first things like we ever did together when he moved over to the United States. We did Halloween Horror Nights. We did it the year before too, because he came for a visit at that time of year, and we went to Halloween Horror Nights. It was awesome. So much fun, and I'm sad we didn't get to do it this year, but things just didn't work out for us, and with him not working, it financially didn't work out for us. So someday we will plan a whole weekend and come down and just do Halloween Horror Nights in Universal Studios and just have a blast in the future. We will plan that out. But yeah, so haunted houses, I love them. So for me, what was it like? Great. It was great. I love haunted houses for the artistic side of it. So the creation of the haunted house itself, the way they look, the effort that is put into the theme of the haunted house. I love them for that. Not as much for the feelings you get from being scared. Maybe I do like being spooked a little bit, but I'm more into haunted houses for the aspect of the theming of the haunted house rather than just the getting scared aspect of it. So there was one year at Halloween Horror Nights that they had, because they always do theming around television shows or movies or something like that. And they had that show, I can't think of the name of it. Oh gosh. It's the one with the haunted house. It starts off with a haunted house, and then it has a circus in another season, and then it has a mental hospital in another season. That show, they had a haunted house for that particular show, and just the music walking up to it, the theming of it, it was just really well done, and I really enjoyed it. And then another year we went to Busch Gardens, and they had a haunted bayou, and that was really well put together and really well put on. Honestly, I would have to say overall, my experience at Busch Gardens was better than at Universal Studios as far as their haunted houses went, because they weren't trying to theme it around any particular thing. Like they were like a haunted bayou, or I can't remember what the other ones were, but they weren't choosing a television show. They were just choosing an area, and it made it better in a way because there was no expectation of what it should be. Like there was, you're going into a haunted bayou, you kind of expect it to have a little bit of that Louisiana style feel, and it definitely did. But that was the only expectation going into it. You didn't have an expectation of the exorcist portraying scenes from that particular movie and how it should look. You know what I mean? But yeah, so haunted houses, I usually am very interested in the theming, more so than in, yeah. the actual spook factor of the haunted houses. Yes. So the next one, favorite Halloween movie. This like I don't know. I'm gonna have to say Chucky. I really enjoy Hocus Pocus, don't get me wrong. But Chucky is really only the the only Halloween movie that I have seen multiple times. Maybe not because I particularly chose to see that one multiple times, but because it just seems to fit with the time of year, and I don't know. So Chucky. Vampire movies in general, but I don't associate a lot of them as being just Halloween movies because they're not always based around the time of year. It's just like Teen Werewolf would be a good one. Werewolf movies. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Chucky. Yeah, the creepy doll. All right. So the next one will be what is your best attempt at pumpkin carving? I know you see those kits in the stores and they show you that you can do different things on a pumpkin than just carving the standard pumpkin face, the mouth, the eyes, the nose, the standard pumpkin face. And I tried and actually was pretty successful in doing a cat on a pumpkin. And I think I tried something else at another point because I really enjoy carving pumpkins. It's fun. I enjoy carving pumpkins. And I'm just artistic enough that I can do a little bit more than your standard face. So yeah, pumpkins. What else is there? The worst horror movie. What is the worst horror movie you've ever seen? I have watched a lot of vampire movies, and I can't remember the particular name of this vampire movie. But there was a vampire movie that was just absolutely horrible. Like, it was just so bad. But yeah, vampire movie that was horrible. So maybe I'll go with that. As far as Halloween movies go, don't know that I particularly saw it around Halloween, but I don't know, it was definitely they call them B movies. It was definitely a B movie for sure, 100%. Getting almost close to being almost done with this section. There's a couple of colors left in here, and I am running low on my challenge questions here, although I do keep kind of rambling about them, which I guess is fine because it's going into more detail of the question itself instead of just answering the question. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this color and then I'll move on to the next question with the next color. I can't see the black. It's really hard, so I know those aren't straight up there. I can see they're not straight when I move the pen away, but when the pen's there, it's kind of blocking it and I can't see it. All right, move on to the next color. Let's see what I grab off my pile of colors. I just have all these little baggies just in a pile next to me. And so I'm just grabbing them off. Okay. I guess we could talk more about Halloween stuff as I finish this section up. Just Halloween in general. Like I said, I didn't have as much experience with it growing up. So I'm pretty sure they did trick-or-treating and stuff, but it just, if we went to a house and we said trick or treat for UNICEF and they gave us candy, we were allowed to keep it. I do remember that. But a lot of times they would just give us the money for UNICEF. So yeah, we'd have these little boxes that we would carry around and people would put coins in these boxes, and then I think we got prizes or something for whoever got the most amount in their box. Like, I kind of remember that being a thing. It might not have been, but I think it might have been too, that we would get prizes at the church for, you know, having the most amount of coins in our box. I do vaguely remember that being a thing, you know, and you'd want to, that way it kind of encouraged you to want to go out and fill your box with money, because you were going to have, there was an incentive to do it. There was an incentive to go out and do it. Yeah. And so, I don't know if I ever got anything, but I do remember doing that. And I do know that for a period of time, I didn't really go trick-or-treating or doing anything, because if you're not allowed to do the holiday for what it is like wearing a costume and trick-or-treating in that regard, it's not the same. And I wore costumes to school. I got to dress up for school. I dressed up as an American Girl one year. I actually found the picture of that. I don't remember which American Girl. The one who came out in the late 80s, so like 87, 89. I think it was Samantha. So that one there, I just dated myself. I already said it was old, so you know that one. And I had a My Little Pony costume, and I loved that My Little Pony costume, and I swear I probably wore it for like 5 years straight. I did. I just absolutely loved that thing. What is it, Peanut? It's Peanut. He's looking at something. I almost tried to buy an American Girl doll today, but I didn't bring any money with me, so I couldn't buy her myself. It's weird that as an adult, I want an American Girl doll, but there's something about it, and I think that was that aspect too. Like, I had a lot of toys, don't get me wrong, I had toys. I just never had dolls, and maybe I just wasn't into dolls, but I did have dolls. I just didn't have dolls like, I don't know. I always had to work for my toys. Like, I wanted a Cabbage Patch. I don't remember. When Cabbage Patches, they first came out, and they were big, I wanted a Cabbage Patch. And I had to get a certain grade in school in order to get my Cabbage Patch. And I got it. And my mom stuck to her word, and I got my Cabbage Patch. And, oh, I still have that Cabbage Patch. Don't believe you me. I still have her. She still looks fantastic. She was a Cabbage Patch that would stand on her own, and she still does. Oh, it's awesome. Like, I love it. I actually have 2 Cabbage Patch. I don't even know where the second one came from. I honestly think I may have stolen it from a friend. Because I did that. I mean, they stole stuff. So, you know, so it was one of those, like, well, they did it. So, I stole from them. They stole from other people. They may have stolen from me. Like, I don't know. But they would steal. So, it just, like, I was bad. I was a bad kid. I stole a Barbie from them one time. I think, maybe not the Cabbage Patch. I don't think I stole that. I think that actually was mine, but I do remember purchasing the one with my mom. And you're always taught that stealing is bad, and it's definitely bad growing up. You know, it's explained to you, like, you shouldn't steal or something, but when other people are doing it, it's, as a child, you can see it as okay. Oh, I want this. they stole it from somebody else, so I'm just gonna steal it from them. Which is bad. You shouldn't do that. But that's how my childhood thought process was. They stole it, so it must be okay. It's not. It's never okay. But yeah. So I don't know if I ever did Halloween with them. I don't think so, because at that point in time, I was doing the trick-or-treat for UNICEF, not going out with my friends and trick-or-treating. I went with my brothers and my mother and maybe even my cousins, I don't know, and we would go, yeah, trick-or-treating. So it's terrible, but yeah. And then when I got older, I think I was like 17 or 18 actually when I started trick-or-treating, and I would definitely say I made up for lost time as far as that is concerned. You know, we definitely still looked like teenagers even though we were in our early 20s. Both my friend and we both still looked like teenagers, and we got away with it, and to a degree because my friend is handicapped. She's not actually my friend anymore. She blocked me, but because she's handicapped, I think we got away with it even more, because people would just be like, oh, okay, we'll let you get away with it. So like I said, I was trick-or-treating until I was like 25 years old. Whether we'd go out trick-or-treating and have a blast, but yeah, I definitely think we got away with it. One, because we just looked young enough, and two, because people knew her. They knew who she was, they knew her, and they were like okay with it. Yeah. So, anyway, let's see. She probably enjoyed diamond painting, I think. You know, it's such a calming, not common, but calming and relaxing craft to do. And I think as someone with a handicap, particularly her type of handicap, I don't remember the name of it, but she really only had the use of one side of her body. Like, it's a good craft for her to do and enjoy, because you don't need to do, like, in general, you don't need two hands to do this craft. You can get away with doing it with one hand. I mean, right now, yeah, probably still could, because you can do it, you know, with one hand. So it is a good craft for that type of handicap. Let's see. Let's go back to the challenge questions. Have you ever been part of a group or a couple's costume? Yeah, actually. I mentioned the Moulin Rouge thing with my friend. I would say that's a group costume. There were other times where my friends and I would definitely plan our costumes together and do something kind of similar. Do something together. As for my husband and I, we did do the Joker and Harley-ish. It wasn't a full the Joker and Harley, because all we really did was our hair, but we kind of did the Joker and Harley. So kind of a couple's costume there. But yeah, definitely have done group costumes. Not so much couples costumes, but definitely group costumes. I'm almost done with this section, and there is only one question left. So I think I did pretty good in rambling on about Halloween. Some of the fun things that we do on Halloween. And I do hope you have enjoyed it so far to this point. There really is really only one color left. I think I missed a spot or two, but I usually go back and check over this afterwards anyway, so I will catch up with anything that I have missed. So if you do see anything that I have missed, it does usually get corrected when I go over it, just to double check it. And we are one section away from being done with this girl. So like I said, at some point this weekend, I am going to try to get her done and have her done as an October finish. But our last challenge question is, have you ever dressed a pet for Halloween? Did I mention a costume class with my horse? Yeah, so very regularly, actually, when my horse was a baby, because I got her when she was just over a year old, I would dress her up in Halloween costumes for Halloween and take her trick-or-treating. So my horse actually went trick-or-treating, and people would give her carrots and apples and sometimes just like cookies. I'd be like, well, what can we give a horse? A cookie. If you have a sugar cookie or something like that, you can give her that. Let's see. Where is this color? There it is. I can fix this one. Also, I do dress up my cats. Not like, I don't dress up my cats in super crazy Halloween costumes, but I do dress them up. Like, I picked up the pumpkin, and my cats are all harness trained. They all wear a harness. Wearing this pumpkin is just like wearing a harness. It's nothing different for them. So it doesn't faze them. It doesn't bother them to wear the pumpkin. I have bat wings I put on Cookie. Like, she doesn't mind the bat wings because they just attach to her harness, and she's just wearing her harness. It's not anything out of the usual for her. She walks on a harness. She wears a harness. It's normal. But anyway, that is this section complete. So I hope you have enjoyed this talk about Halloween. I hope you learned something new about Halloween that maybe you didn't already know. Maybe you do already know this from hearing other people talk about Halloween. And, you know, maybe you can answer the challenge questions yourself, or just, you know, say some of your favorite things about Halloween. But anyway, let's zoom out and look at Aurora again. Oh, don't drop my pen on the floor. There we go. There she is. She's looking fantastic. Like you said, we've got one section left. She's almost done. So for the next video, which is the non-talking one, and will actually be in November, she will be completed. But she'll be part of my October completions because I'm going to do her pretty soon. So anyway, thank you for watching.